Wednesday, June 11th. Hey, welcome back, my Courtroom Curious crew. Today we've got another episode of the Diddy trial VIP access only, and this one is a lot. We're talking raw emotions, designer drama, and accusations that sound more like a lost episode of a reality show than anything you'd expect to hear under oath in a federal courtroom. So if you're the kind of person who loves when a courtroom turns into a confessional booth with luxury handbags and spicy secrets, oh, you're in for a treat. Because today we were back in the thick of it with our mystery witness, Jane, the ex-girlfriend of Diddy. Still using a pseudonym for safety, still testifying in federal court, and still dropping bombshells like it's part of the set list. Day 2 of her cross-examination was a messy masterpiece. Let's talk about what went down. The rehab party that definitely wasn't. So court kicks off with Jane on the stand, looking like someone who's been through emotional war. And spoiler alert, by the end of this day, she absolutely had. Defense attorney Tenny Garregas comes in hot. We're talking full cross-examination energy. Her goal, to poke holes in Jane's story, cast doubt on her motivations, and show the jury that this wasn't abuse, it was, in the defense's words, a toxic relationship with perks. But Jane was not holding back. She launched straight into this unforgettable moment from her time with Diddy, when she dared to suggest gently, cautiously, that maybe, just maybe, he should consider rehab. You know, just a tiny break from the drugs and chaos. And Diddy? According to Jane, his reaction was, "What the? You think I need rehab?" Classic deflection energy. But here's where it gets extra. Instead of rehab, he proposes what he calls a sobriety party. Now pause, let that sink in. This wasn't a quiet tea circle with spiritual affirmations and a sobriety coin. Oh no! Jane says the sobriety party was a multi-hour drug-fueled rager that included ecstasy, the Big C, and 3 exotic dancers. A 12 to 18-hour farewell tour to substance abuse, allegedly. If this was his version of quitting cold turkey, then cold turkey must have come laced with club lighting and a DJ. Jane said she didn't participate in the drug use that night. But she did attend, and emphasized that she resented him for knowing how hard it was for her to say no. She said he manipulated her emotional dependency. That his charm, wealth, and unpredictable moods made her feel like a puppet on strings. Strings, she said. She didn't realize were wrapped around her neck until much later. The dark fantasy playbook. But things turned from dark to downright bizarre as Jane started explaining what she called Diddy's fantasy world. She said he lived in a mindset of voyeurism and escapism. And yes, she used those exact words. According to her, this wasn't a one-time thing. It was a consistent theme. Diddy, she said, loved orchestrating situations where he could watch her with other men after giving her ecstasy. And then came the term, one that made the whole courtroom sit up straighter. Jane said that as she tried to decode what was happening, she stumbled across the word "see hold." Now, if you've never Googled that one, you might want to keep safe search on. But Jane, she said she did her homework. She said she started calling Diddy a cock, and he didn't flinch. In fact, he allegedly leaned into it. According to her, he used the whole dynamic as a form of power. She felt like a performer in a twisted fantasy play, being watched, directed, and discarded. Now, here's the kicker. This wasn't just an idea she came up with. She claimed Diddy himself would talk about escapism as a concept, like he was curating a whole art exhibit made of people and power trips. Handbag debate turns into courtroom mic drop. At this point in the day, Garregas goes in on the money, the bags, the gifts. She tries to paint a picture of Jane as someone who benefited from Diddy-esque lifestyle, who enjoyed the rewards, the luxury, the high-end perks. She brings up a Bottega handbag that Diddy allegedly bought for another woman, and then gave one to Jane too. Garregas asks, with all the seriousness of a courtroom Perry Mason moment, how much do Bottega bags cost? And Jane, she delivers what may go down as the most quoted line of the trial. How much does my body cost? Boom! Case paused. The gallery went silent. Even the courtroom walls looked like they were holding their breath. The judge had to call a break. Jane returned a few minutes later, her voice steadier, her face more composed. And in a surprise twist, she apologized to Garregas for lashing out. She said she was just overwhelmed. It was a moment of raw human vulnerability in a trial that often felt like a tabloid headline brought to life. Love triangles, Miami trips, and deleted sushi posts. But we weren't done yet. Jane then confirmed that she and Diddy had dinner at Nobu one night before one of those fantasy hotel encounters. The dinner guests included 2 male escorts, Paul and Don, and Jane said she later posted a photo from the outing. Diddy allegedly made her delete it. Why? Because he didn't want to be seen. Not with her, not with the group, not with anyone. Public image, Jane said, was everything to him. And here's where it gets even messier. Another woman in Diddy's life, Gina, also got a bag, also posted about it, and didn't have to delete her post. Jane said this broke her emotionally, that she had to hide her relationship while Gina could flaunt hers. She said they even had matching jewelry. Jane had a Cartier bracelet. Gina had a matching necklace. This wasn't just a love triangle. It was a battle of public image, control, and emotional manipulation. She also described the relationship as a love contract. And in this contract, Diddy allegedly held all the power, especially financial. If Jane refused to do something he wanted, her rent might not get paid. Her bills might go unpaid. Her lifestyle might disappear. Defense strategy, blurring the line between wrong and illegal. Now, throughout the day, the defense kept hammering the same point. Even if Diddy acted in disturbing ways, that doesn't mean he broke the law. They called him morally reprehensible, yes, but said Jane's story didn't prove a federal crime. Defense lawyer David Seltzer said it like this: Jane's testimony, voice notes, and all, while chilling and demonstrate Mr. Combs' controlling behavior, does not, in my opinion, prove the government's case. Rather, it further depicts Mr. Combs as morally reprehensible. They weren't denying the ugly parts. They were denying the criminality. Mistral motion, not today. And oh yeah, before any of this even started, Diddy's team tried to get a mistrial. They claimed the prosecution knowingly allowed false testimony from a previous witness, Bana Bongolan, who couldn't hell remember whether she had been dangled over a 17th floor balcony. But the judge, R.N. Subramanian, was like, nope. He rejected the motion and basically said, look, you already picked apart her testimony. The jury heard both sides. That's how trials work. So no mistrial, full speed ahead. So let's recap. Rehab parties that involve hard drugs, courtroom mic drops over handbags, accusations of fantasy puppeteering, deleted Nobu photos, love triangles with matching Cartier jewelry, and a witness literally asking, how much does my body cost? Tuesday's court session wasn't just a trial. It was a full-blown expose on power, fame, and the twisted relationships that happen behind the velvet rope. And if this is what happens on a Tuesday, I can't wait to see what Thursday brings. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and stay locked in. This trial is just getting messier, and we're here for every minute of it. Catch you in the next one.